Gojo, come. Come. Good, yes, we needed that. Good boy. When we're using e-collars on dogs, it should not be a constant. What it should be is used in a couple different applications, but as positive punishment, it should be used for correcting what is already established training. It could be used as negative reinforcement to help increase the likelihood of an established behavior to occur, solidifying it even further. Or it should be used as a communication device from a distance. You can actually utilize one as engagement, use low stimulations, shocks, vibrates, or even the beep sound, classically conditioned, kind of like a clicker. Now, in this video, what you saw was me using positive punishment. The dog in question, the Husky Gojo, has already been recall trained for the last year and a half. After it had been established utilizing positive reinforcement training, we use the e-collar as a positive punishment, and then maybe a negative reinforcement if he blows off the punishment. So that way we can establish the understanding in the dog that when you recall, you get good things. When you don't blow it off, it doesn't feel good. So that way he can make the best decisions for himself, being more operant. Now, how often do I need to do this? Once every 5 months, roughly. When I take my dogs and I train my dogs, I am going to use primarily positive reinforcement. I will use punishment though, and I will make sure the punishment is severe enough for them to make long-term behavioral changes. If I have to consecutively and consistently use punishment, then the punishment is not aversive enough and I'm only making temporary behavioral changes. Once my dog's commands, especially my safety commands like a recall, is established and established very well, I will let my dogs be dogs, and I won't really have to do much rewarding or correction of behavior for quite a long time. But once they start lapsing into unwanted behaviors, I know at that point it is time for me to reestablish training. So yes, I am a bit lazy. I don't carry treats on me 24/7. I do reward whenever I get an opportunity and I have it on hand. I don't have to punish 24/7. But what I do get to do is have dogs that get to be trusted as dogs and just work on training just for a couple days every few months just to reestablish what these rules are. Now, as far as the rules, they don't get a choice. They don't get an option when it comes to stuff like places, sits, stays, and recall. Things that I feel are in the dog's best interest for their own safety, other animal safety, other people's safety, and so on. Now, do all dogs need to use an electric collar? As far as the modern e-collar goes, the electric stim is not a zap like you would get from an arcing shock. Let's say a taser would be an example. That's not how e-collars work. It's more of a TIMS unit. It's going to be a stimulation of the muscle. Does it feel good? No, it doesn't. Does it shock the dog? Yes, it's technically a shock. Does it startle the dog? Absolutely. Is it aversive? 100%. Is it painful? That's up to the dog to dictate. But no, not every single dog responds well with e-collars, prong collars, and other aversives. Some dogs are perfectly content using only reward-based methods. But not all dogs are the same, and so we have to train the individual dog in front of us. We need to stop getting caught up on the breed. We need to stop getting caught up on other people's dogs and just work with our dogs that are directly in front of us. Now for me, even if I'm not using the e-collar actively, I still have 3 situations that I will always put an e-collar on my dog. Number 1 is if they are going outside. Number 2 is if they're going in public. And number 3 is if I have guests coming over. If I'm not going to need it, why would I put it on my dogs? Because there is always a small chance that something in the environment is going to be much more interesting and compelling than my training, my rewards, even my punishment that I have used to reinforce the likelihood of them coming to me and decrease the odds of them ignoring or blowing off a command. This allows me to have a much more larger hold or grasp on safety, on making sure that my dogs are in control. Or better, me in control of my dogs. Because at the end of the day, dogs are still opportunistic predators with little knives in their mouths. Dogs are independent thinkers. Dogs are motivated by so many different things that are outside of just the treats or toys or play or affection that I'm going to give them. The environment is always going to be enticing, and every single dog in existence has that capability of deciding that something is much more interesting or motivating than anything that I can give them.
Down the fence line.
I've also heard time and time again that if your dog makes a yelp sound, then the device you're using, the tool, is too intense for that dog. That's not necessarily the case. Dogs yelp for numerous reasons, and a yelp doesn't necessarily mean a dog in high distress or pain. It can mean it, though. It really can. Will it ruin your dog? No. Now, if I have to constantly do that and I'm correcting the dog for every single behavior that I don't find 100% exactly how I want it, then I can absolutely shut that dog down and ruin the dog. I hope all of this helped, and happy training.
Damn right, good girl.